The Arab Sugar Daddy and the Beautiful Indian Girl by Dr. A. Ahmed. It is a one-sided love story between a rich old Saudi man and a beautiful poor Indian girl. It was written in English and translated into Arabic by Dr. A. Ahmed. It is a novel in 6 parts. Part 1. The Arab sugar daddy falls in love with a beautiful Indian girl. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a rival system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer who may quote brief passages from the review for printing in a general magazine, a school journal, or a university article. All characters in this novel are fictitious, and any resemblance to real people, live or dead, is purely coincidental. Chapter 21. Doubts on the terrorist charges. Luckily, the dangerous Hindu police inspector Shankaracharya by chance has found one of the daily newspapers. He is dumbfounded when he read the prime suspect, Mr. Muhammad Khan, is offering a huge reward to anyone who would direct the police to the hiding place of his employee, Jamal Khan, who had stolen 300,000 Indian rupees from his office and raped one of his female employees, a beautiful teenage girl by the name of Bulbul Sheikh. This news refuted his theory of a terrorist plot and threw a wrench in what he thought was a foreign terrorist conspiracy. He has determined to get to the bottom of this mare before he totally discards this possible terrorist strategy. Wherefore, he found and interviewed the alleged rape victim, Bulbul Sheikh. If Jamal Khan had truly raped the beautiful girl Bulbula and robbed her of her costly jewelry, then he would not be a terrorist. If Jamal Khan did not rape and rob the female employee, Bulbula Sheikh, then he is a terrorist. One of these two assumptions is a premise of his terrorist theory. For him, Jamal Khan is either a rapist or a terrorist, but in no way is he an innocent person. When the long arm of the law and religious fanaticism are combined into one mind, it becomes the worst of both worlds and a deadly combination. That is the fanatical mentality of the police inspector Shankaracharya, the dreadful son of the Hindu gods. The lovely Bulbul Sheikh became frightened when the Hindu police inspector approached her and asked her whether she had been raped or robbed by someone from the travel agency. The police told her they have some information regarding her rape and robbery, but did not mention the name of the alleged rapist. Bulbula is afraid to talk or reveal what had happened to her because she knows that if she would say she had been raped by someone, then the police would take her into custody for further questioning. She heard that any girl voicing any sort of dispute or a complaint or involved in some sort of misdeed, the police would take her in for interrogation and she would be gang raped by many cops inside the lockup room. She would also put her job in jeopardy and her poor family in serious trouble. So she thought the best thing to do is to leave her Allah to avenge the injustice done to her and punish her rapist, the devil incarnate. By then, all the other girls in the office had heard that the beautiful girl Bulbula had stayed alone in the office with the boss and had sex with him. It was the ugly girl Jamila who falsely claimed she had seen with her beautiful eyes her boss and Bulbula lying bare naked and having sex on the floor of the office, just like a male dog and a bitch or a cock and its hen. Therefore, The female employees had a strong reason to believe the incident occurred, but when the police came and took the beautiful Bulbula aside and questioned her about the rape case, the girls understood why their boss had gotten arrested and hauled it away. They conclude Bulbula has filed a rape complaint with the police and accused her boss of forcefully and brutally raping her. Before that, they thought Bulbula had agreed to have sex with her boss because he paid her some amount of a few thousand rupees. But they are puzzled with the question, why would Bulbula keep coming to work every day after she complained of the boss raping her and then sending him to jail? But for the police, the answer to this question is quite clear, and the answer to the Hindu police inspector's questions is just as crystal clear. After the beautiful Bulbula denied the information reported in the newspapers, the inspector's assumption of a terrorist plot solved the mystery of the fake rape and robbery. He concluded this cock and bull story was created by none other than the diabolical genius of a homegrown terrorist, the suspect Muhammad Khan. When Muhammad came to know the police had foiled the terrorist plot and arrested Rehana Khan and his employee Jamal Khan, he orchestrated this bogus rape and robbery story to refute the confession of his accomplices to relieve himself of any involvement. As soon as Police Inspector Shankaracharya connected all the dots and crossed all his T's in these carefully conceived deliberations, he decided to announce these new developments to the public and involve the media. Before that day, the arrest of the three alleged Muslim terrorists was kept hidden from the media people. The next day, the photos of Muhammad Khan, Rehana Khan, and Jamal Khan were published on the front page of every newspaper in Bombay City. All TV channels have also mentioned the foiled terrorist plot. This sensational news story included many other details connecting the Indian Muslim suspects with other international and notorious terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Taliban, and even Pakistani's ISI, Inter-Services Intelligence, are hinted at as being involved in the female suicide bomber plot that was targeting an Air India flight on its way from Bombay City to Jeddah City. The envious girl Roxana is the one who read the morning newspaper first and showed the disturbing news to the other 7 employees. But none of the 8 employees believed these trumped up charges. All of them know Jamal Khan is a peace-loving and law-abiding young man. Although he is a Muslim, he is not a deeply religious boy. He smokes cigarettes and has a beautiful girlfriend. The two lovers hug and kiss openly in public by the seashore. In the same way, Rehana Khan is a Muslim woman living in a slum hut, but she is not all that religious woman either. She had no problem with being hugged and kissed in public places, and if given the opportunity, she would not hesitate to have sex with her handsome lover and live in cohabitation with him without the prohibition of halal Islamic marriage. She had never dressed up in an Islamic burqa or a hijab or a niqab. You could not tell by the way she dressed if she was a Muslim woman, a Hindu, or a Christian woman. She put on whatever she liked. One day she came to the travel agency in a Punjabi dress, and on another day she would be wearing an Indian sari. Likewise, the boss made himself out to be a devout Muslim man, but and yet he is a notorious womanizer. He harassed all his female employees in one way or another. He also has a Hindu mistress, another man's wife, with whom he convoluted with her on many occasions in her room at the Oberoi Hotel. He is a cheater and a thief, always cheating his customers. He is making more money in that illegal way by deceiving his Arab clients. He is too busy cheating people to be bothered with spiritual matters, and he certainly could not be bothered with religious lunatics like Shara Taiba, Taliban, and Al Qaeda. No one could ever convince his employees that he loves his religion, Islam, enough to blow up an aeroplane. They thought about why he would want someone to blow up an aeroplane. He would not blow himself up even for 72 virgins in heaven when he has more virgins than he could handle right here on earth. His sex drive Venus is greater than the fires of hell, and no woman can sexually satisfy him. Accordingly, all 8 employees concluded there had to be a gross misunderstanding, or someone just wanted it to be a terrorist conspiracy on innocent 3 Muslims. Meanwhile, the breaking news published in the local newspapers directed Vakula's Gundas gang to the hideout of Jamal Khan and his girlfriend Rehana Khan. Then the Gundas approached Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed and pretended that they had, after much searching, unearthed the hiding place of the 2 lovers. They found out from inside sources that the woman, Rehana Khan, and her lover, Jamal Khan, had been arrested a few days ago and at present are kept under police protection because of what appeared to be initially a false news report, and everyone in India is seeking a reward for their capture. Since both of them are in special police custody, there is nothing they can do to get them out. They then demanded the rest of their money. Because of his bad experience with his beautiful Christian wife, Christy, the all Arab man becomes smart against the tricks of scammers and concludes that the Gundas gang is trying to cheat him and steal his money. He told them to get his lovely maidservant Rehana Khan out of the jail first and help him smuggle her to Saudi Arabia, and then he would give them the rest of their money. The Zaks then confessed that the news circulating about Rehana Khan and Jamal Khan was that they had both been accused of terrorism. They said even the Prime Minister of India could not remove a person out of prison who is involved in a terrorist plot. Sheikh Ahmed is still unwilling to pay them. The Gundas then threatened to kill him instead, following the wise advice of his Sudanese friend Babikir al-Awar. Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed chose to save his life and paid them the remainder of the money he had promised, which is 15,000 rupees in cash, and thus ended his illegal dealings with them. As soon as the Gundas left, Babikir al-Awar pulled Sheikh Ahmed aside and showed him the newspaper that carried the photo of his beloved Indian Layla, who is called Rehana Khan, and the article concerning her involvement in a terrorist plot. What troubled the old Saudi man was not that his beloved Layla was in jail undergoing unpleasant conditions, but what scared the hell out of him the most was that his name was also mentioned in the terrorist plot as clear as day. He is mentioned as a foreign terrorist who is a member of Al-Qaeda who supplied visas, tickets, money, and other needed materials and explosives to the female suicide bomber Rehana Khan. It also revealed in the article that he the one who paid over ₹1,000,000 to Muhammad Khan Tours and Travels and convinced its owner, Mr. Muhammad Khan, and another male employee by the name of Jamal Khan to prepare the travel papers of the young female suicide bomber. When he read these details and false charges against him, Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed wished that the heirs would have opened up and swallowed him whole and then regurgitated him back in his holy homeland of Saudi Arabia, where he would be protected by his countrymen. At that critical moment, he began to hate the beautiful Muslima maid Rehana Khan and bitterly hated the day he met her on a street in Colaba, in Mumbai. He also cursed Muhammad Khan and cursed every Muslim Indian he ever knew in his whole life. He asked Babikir, how could those accursed Muslim beggars and uncircumcised Hindu idol worshippers ever dare to involve me in such a dangerous terrorist plot? After he had overcome his anger, shock, and disbelief, Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed began to solicit his Sudanese friend Babikir and lean upon him even more than before. He asked him how he could escape from this dangerous trap that had been set for him by the schemes of criminals and the Indian police. Babikir told him the only way possible out of this was to approach the anti-terrorist police department and tell them that he was an innocent man and had nothing to do with the terrorist plot. That is the last thing the petrified old geezer is prepared to do. He knows that to go to these corrupt Hindu lawmen and plead not guilty would be setting himself up for endless torture, only to be falsely accused and hanged as a Muslim terrorist. When Babikir understood that the frightened old man was not willing to go to the police, he advised him to make his escape out of India through the Pakistani border. Sheikh Ahmed left the five-star hotel of the Taj Mahal Palace without showing he was checking out and renting a car. He told Babikir that he would give him ₹500,000 if he would accompany him on his trip from India to the Pakistani border and help him reach his destination safely. Babikir told him he could not risk going on such a dangerous trip and put himself in jeopardy even if he had to give him ₹10,000,000. I just can't take such a high-risk trip like that with someone like you who is wanted all over India and every cup in the cosmopolitan city of Bombay is after you. This wrong decision of Babikir has terminated the beneficial friendship between the once good friends. When Babikir rejected the offer and left, Sheikh Ahmed found a Muslim Indian and bribed him. He convinced the man to help him to rent a car and be his private chauffeur because he said, I want to tour your magnificent country of India. He said that his final destination would be Kashmir because he heard people in his country saying Kashmir is the paradise of God on earth. As a matter of fact, Kashmir is the disputed region between India and Pakistan. There are over 1 million Indian soldiers and more than 10 million Indian and Pakistani terrorists in that lawless land. The number of Muslim terrorists in Kashmir is more than the combined number of Muslim terrorists in Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, Iraq, and Syria. In the past, Kashmir was truly once called God's paradise on earth, but today is known as hell in the entire universe. Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmad's escape to Pakistan had been carefully planned and sought out, but he would have been better to do as Babikir suggested and contact the anti-terrorist police of Bombay to explain his dilemma of being falsely involved in the alleged terrorist plot and threw himself on the mercy of the Hindu police inspector Shankaracharya and the Indian criminal court. Before he could make a clean getaway out of the city, it did not take long for the fugitive Arab man to be arrested by the Bombay police. On the same day, he planned to flee. Bombay police intelligence investigations became aware through the international airport authorities that he had arrived recently from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Further investigation revealed that he had booked a room at the Taj Mahal Hotel. When the police inspector Shankaracharya and his men raided his room at the hotel, the wanted Saudi sheikh happened to be with the Sudanese boy in a restaurant somewhere in Kulaba. The Indian anti-terrorist police kept undercover police officers stationed at the hotel and maintained a citywide vigil on this threat to India's security. The hotel also supplied the police with a copy of his passport, which contained his photo. The photo and the passport information have been displayed throughout the city on billboards and shown on all local TV channels. Even the radio stations announced the warrant for his arrest. The anti-terrorist police have blessed a bounty of 50,000 rupees for any good citizen to reveal his hiding place. The same person who leased the car for him reported him to the police. It did not take the police more than a couple of hours to find the rented car, and Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmad has been arrested along with Indian Muslim driver and thrown in a prison cell, beaten up and tortured to death. The one-eyed Sudanese Babikir's decision not to help the old Saudi saved him from being involved in a serious terrorist charge. Chapter 22: Trial of those accused of the alleged terrorist plot. To be arrested in India for whatever crime, no matter whether you have done it or not, whether you committed an iniquity or have broken the law, whether you are falsely accused or caught in the act of committing an offense, you are guilty until proven innocent. It is exactly opposite the legal system all over the world. It is supposed to be the suspect is innocent until proven guilty. But in India, the outcome of the initial interrogation will be the same. You are a criminal until you prove your innocence and are acquitted by the court. Through their harsh third-degree interrogation method, the Indian police would force you, if your body is made out of iron, to admit to the charges of which you have been suspected. They would make you sign your confession, and then the prosecutor would establish a case against you in court. Once again, if you paid your lawyer well, he could then bribe the judge handling your case, and whether you are guilty of a crime or innocent, you would be acquitted. From the time you were arrested until the final adjudication of the court verdict, it could take years. During the time you are on remand, you would be stuck in jail for years, beaten up every so often, and ruffled up by other criminals and gundas. Whether you are male or female, you would be raped by those sexually frustrated suspects and convicts. Of course, the female will be gang raped by the blackmailing officers while being interrogated in a dark room and will then be raped by her male guards. She might also be raped by some lesbians. To escape imprisonment, repeated rapes, and brutal beatings, you would need to bail yourself out and buy your freedom until the final hearing of the trial. If you are rich enough, you could pay a huge amount of bail and save yourself a whole lot of trouble. If you are a foreigner and paid your bail, you would be forced to surrender your passport and attend every hearing required by the court. If you are an Indian, you have to be present at all scheduled hearings and you could not travel out of the country. Hearings would take place every 3 to 4 months as a formality. The court clerk will call out your name, and when you hear your name, you would just need to hold up your right hand and shout, "Present," or "I am here," and stand up for the court judge to see you. Then the judge would more than likely glance at you and announce yet another day for the next hearing. After that, you would be free to go only to present yourself in court again after the other 3 or 4 months. Then you would have to do the same thing over and over again for the next assigned hearing date and leave again. This procedure would continue for 3 to 5 years. If you ask a lawyer or a police officer why it takes so long for your case to get to its final trial, they would just give you a reserved smile and tell you that suspects who got arrested 3 to 4 years before you got apprehended are still waiting for their final days in court. The four Muslim suspects, Rehana, Jamal, Muhammad, and Sheikh Ahmed, had been all subjected to harsh interrogation methods to admit their involvement in a terrorist plot to place a female suicide bomber on an Indian airline flight on domestic soil and blew it up in midway between Bombay and Jeddah. Those confessions that had been extracted out of their bleeding mouths, dislocated jaws, and broken teeth and noses through brutal torture had become facts in court. Rehana and Jamal were not financially able to hire lawyers to defend them in court due to their abject poverty. Nevertheless, they are more than lucky to have rich suspects accused along with them in the same case. If the Saudi wealthy business tycoon Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed and the Indian rich man Muhammad Khan are proven innocent, then Jamal and Rehana Khan would automatically be acquitted. Therefore, the same lawyers defending the wealthy suspects are also the de facto defenders of the lovers, Rehana and Jamal. If you are a rich man, then you are above the law. Whether compensating authorities to get away with a crime or rewarding a rape victim to keep her mouth shut, it is a corrupt system operating behind closed doors. You can even buy the Wizard of Oz behind the Iron Curtain. Never before in the history of India's justice system has a court case been brought to such a rapid conclusion as this one. The case of the Muslim female suicide bomber has been tried and concluded in just a few short months. Many reasons led the Bombay courts to push the case to the top of the waiting list and render a judgment in 6 months. The first reason is that Saudi Arabia exercised exerted enormous influence over the trial, and there are rumors that the richest Arab country paid money to the Indian government or threatened to expel all Indian diplomats and close the Indian embassy and consulates if the case was delayed. The trial was not decided in favor in the favor of the Arab defendant, the Saudi Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed, and soon. Rumors also have it that the Saudi government would rule to deport all the over 2 million Indians who are working in Saudi Arabia. The second reason is that the lawyers of the wealthy suspect paid a considerable size of money and bribed the judge of the High Court and the jury. In addition, the high-priced lawyers for the 4 suspects presented a good line of defense that no prosecutor could refute. Firstly, the first woman suspect, the alleged female suicide bomber, Rehana Khan, is a slum woman and uneducated. She could not possibly be involved in such a sophisticated plot to blow up an airplane. Moreover, she was taking her 7-year-old daughter, Ifat Khan, with her on the same plane and leaving her 5 sons alone with her parents and in-laws who could not work or provide for them. Also, if she wanted to kill herself so she could kill others, why did she want to kill her young firstborn daughter too? Secondly, the 4th suspect, Jamal Khan, is not a religious boy and has never been to a mosque in his whole life. He neither prays 5 times a day nor fasts during the holy months of Ramadan. He smokes daily and drinks alcohol occasionally, and the lawyers presented evidence obtained from the stores of non-Muslims such as Hindus and Sikhs, where he often purchased cigarettes and liquor bottles. Thirdly, the lawyers also provided proof an ongoing love affair between Jamal and Rehana. The lawyers provided eyewitness testimonies of the lovers kissing and hugging on the beach front, in restaurants, and in movie theaters. Some of these witnesses are the Sudanese student Babikir Hussein Osama, who is known as Babikir Al-Awar, and his Indian girlfriend, the ugly Jamila Al-Qabiha. Both placed their right hands on their Holy Quran and testified that they had seen Jamal while he was kissing Rehana on her lips by the seashore of Marine Drives. This scandalous love affair between a widowed Muslim woman and a Muslim man who is not her lawful husband is one of the biggest taboo and haram acts in Islam. If they are in a Muslim country, they would be stoned to death. Moreover, none of the 2 Muslim lovers is a devout believer, and this fact strengthens the argument that neither of the 2 is committed enough to his or her religion, Islam, to be wanted to blow up a plane full of innocent people. Fourth, the second suspect, Mr. Muhammad Khan, likewise has been proven in court to have been engaged in an adulterous affair with his Hindu female lover. Testimony supplied by the management of the 5-star Oberoi Tower Hotel verified the illicit relationship between him and the married Hindu woman, Sangeeta Desia, and he drank so much at times that he had to be helped back to his hotel room. He is also a chain smoker and was asked on several occasions to step outside and smoke because of the many complaints from restaurant guests. The lawyers presented hundreds of unpaid bills and receipts from dozens of hotels, restaurants, liquor stores, and nightclubs in downtown Bombay. This is strong evidence supporting the fact that he is living a wild and immoral life, a debauched lifestyle far from the lifestyle mandated by Islam. In a Muslim country like Saudi Arabia, such a sinful Muslim man might be beheaded for his abominable transgressions. 6. The third suspect, Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed, was also proven in the courtroom to be an irreligious person and a playboy. Some of the hotel staff testified to this fact, and the lawyers brought forth their testimony in open court. Often, he would bring prostitutes and street girls in Colaba to his hotel rooms and spend the night with them in fornication and orgies, completely naked like King Pharaoh or the dissolute Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Even his problematic marriage with his former Indian Christian wife, Christina Lovas, was used as a testimony against him because she was 20 years old and he was 64 years old. It sounded like female child abuse through an Islamic marriage rather than a mutual marriage between spouses of close ages. Although such kind of matrimonial union is morally wrong and socially condemned, it was still a legal marriage, and no court in the world could condemn a 64-year-old geezer sugar daddy for marrying a 20-year-old girl as old as her grandfather. 7. All the official papers that had been found with Rehana Khan indicated that she was supposed to fly to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on a maid-servant visa and be a domestic help to one of Sheikh Ahmed's 3 Saudi Muslim wives. The other 3 suspects verified this fact by their testimony in court as well as employees of the passport office. Rehana Khan's papers were prepared legally and she did not obtain those papers through any illegal means. They were truly gifted to her by the wealthy business tycoon Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed because he wanted her to come and work as a maid servant in one of his mansions in his country. 8. The strongest evidence that led the court to drop the terrorist charges and acquit all 4 suspects in the return of Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed to India. If he is the mastermind behind the alleged terrorist plot, financier and supplier of bomb-making materials, why did he return to India after his alleged accomplices were arrested? Added to that, the Indian police could not find the explosive device that the female suspect is supposed to use to blow her body up in bits and pieces and also explode in smithereens the passenger of the Air India plane. At any rate, 6 months in Bombay jail was the most painful experience that the beautiful maid Rehana Khan had to go through in her entire life. During all the years of suffering that she lived with her late husband while alive and after his death, she did not suffer as much as she did in prison. She was beaten, tortured, gang raped, and deprived of basic human necessities. She was abused by policemen and female prison guards and treated as a traitor to the Indian homeland by prison staff and other suspects and convicts. The guards often beat and insulted her, and sometimes spit in her face. They accused her of trying to blow up an Indian Airlines plane and kill innocent people. No one believed her words when she pleaded her innocence. It is nothing short of a miracle that she survived for 6 months in that treacherous environment among dangerous female criminals and hostile, tormenting guards, euphemistically called the Indian jail. What disturbed Rehana, especially during her imprisonment, and caused her to spend sleepless nights and unbearable days was her worry about her 6 children and her 4 elderly parents. How will they live without someone to help take care of them? Who will be the breadwinner, and where will they get food to eat? She left what little money she had with her parents, and on the day of her arrest, she was planning to give them what Indian money she had. Unfortunately, the police officers who arrested her helped themselves with Indian money and the few US dollars she received from her benefactor, all Arab sugar daddy, on the day she was supposed to travel with her daughter to the rich Arab country. There are 200 Indian rupees and 30 US dollars. Rehana saw that there was just a small misunderstanding and that she would be allowed to go to her hut once this small misunderstanding was clear, and they would fly out of their hellish country of India that same night. She never expected that she would be imprisoned for such a long time. What disturbed her conscience most was the fear that her young daughter, Ifat, would be raped at night by some of these outlaws boys in the slums. A policewoman sent her daughter Ifat to her hut after she was beaten and slapped, and some information was extracted from her mouth, which was bleeding profusely. Rehana knows that her elders will not be able to stop these boys if they break into the hut at night and try to rape her young daughter. She also knows that her neighbors in her poor shack will not come to her rescue if she screams for help. The slum dwellers are afraid to death of Zak's call it horrific gundas. Even the Indian police are afraid of the ruthless gangsters. No slum dweller would put his life in danger by coming between the gang of gundas and their intended victim. After her release, Rehana went straight to her poor hut. She found that some of her young children had become beggars. 3 of her relatives had died. 3 of her relatives had died. She lost her father and her in-laws. Only her own mother is still alive. Her mother told her that she was the one who sent her sons to the streets to beg to feed the family. The mother refused to let Rehana's daughter, Ifat, to go to the streets for fear of being raped at that young age by sexually frustrated, useless Indian men. These unemployed men who have not found any woman who loves them or agrees to marry them will not hesitate to rape a dog, a goat, or a donkey. Fortunately, on the day of their arrest, the police returned the daughter to her poor hut immediately after questioning and told them that she was going with her mother on a trip to help her work in the homes of some Arabs and collect some money strewn on the streets like garbage in Bombay. Rehana cried day and night over her poor family's grief while she was in prison. She had no one to send them any letters to inform them of what was going on in her miserable life in jail. The detainee and the reason for her why she had become detainee and the reason for her arrest. She learned it from her tormentors, the police, that Jamal Khan was arrested on the same day she was arrested. Before her arrest, Rehana was a simple-minded maid servant with a pure heart. She didn't hate anyone, but after her unjust arrest and the horrific cruelty of the brutal beatings and brutal gang rapes she endured in prison, she began to hate with every bone in her body those responsible for the injustice done to her and her loved ones. She cried bitterly as she thought of the suffering and hardships that her 6 children and 4 elders would have to endure without her. She cried even more when she learned that the handsome young man, her lover Jamal Khan, who had given her the happiest days of her life, had also been falsely accused, arrested, brutally tortured, and thrown behind bars like a slum dog, a vagrant, a criminal, and a frequenter of prisons or a jailbird. Chapter 23: The New Chance in Luck. However, the beautiful Indian Muslima maid servant Rehana Khan never forgot the sugar daddy, the old Arab who gave her life's important opportunity, which could be fulfilled by her flying to Saudi Arabia and working in his palace. After her release, she took her mother and returned to the police station where she was detained on the day of her unlawful arrest and asked for the return of her visas, tickets, passport, and money. The appellate Hindu police inspector Shankaracharya, who arrested her, became hostile and shouted that he would arrest her and her mother if she did not leave, and it would be better for her never to see his face again. Rehana no longer had a lawyer to represent her in court or file a formal complaint to regain what is rightfully hers. There is no one to fight for her rights against the ruthless, illegal system of evil. When and Rehana no longer has a lawyer to represent her in court or file a formal complaint to regain what is rightfully hers. There is no one to fight for her rights against the ruthless, illegal system of evil. When the unscrupulous lawman does not return her travel papers, she concluded that her chance to go to the rich country of the Arabs is gone forever. After losing hope, the Indian made Rehana return to the homes of the rich and began working for them again, enslaving herself for long hours during the day and part of the night. Some families refused to give her work again due to her involvement in alleged terrorist plot. During her long working hours, Rehana always remembers her handsome boyfriend Jamal Khan. She wondered if he was willing to accept her as a lover again after all the trouble he had gone through because of her. She believed that his only sin was his love for her, which is why he was arrested and imprisoned for helping her in her desire for a better life in a rich Arab country. She also doesn't expect the travel agency that prepared her papers to be interested in helping her again. She also concludes that the old Saudi man who freely gave her visas and tickets to heaven probably isn't interested in having her as a maid servant in his palace anymore. She believes she has given him so much trouble that he will never want to see an Indian woman again or step a foot on the ground she walked on. She would see him every now and then whenever there was a criminal court hearing with the other Indian suspect. It was several weeks after Rehana Khan was released from prison and allowed to return to her slum hut. She wakes up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, goes to work in the homes of rich people, and does not return to her poor neighborhood until 9 in the evening. She forbade her children from going to train stations and local streets to beg. Her daughter Ifat once again became her 5 young siblings' babysitter, cooking their food and washing their clothes. The same sad and evil daily life that she had in her previous days repeats itself day after day. She felt cursed and condemned to a life of abject poverty from the day she was born. However, one day, the sad maid servant returned it at 9 o'clock in the evening and found a visitor waiting for her in front of her poor hut. He was the last person on earth she thought she would see again. She doesn't know his name. She doesn't know how to speak his language and has no idea what language he speaks. He is called the damning black nigger, the one-eyed Sudanese boy, Babikir al-Awar. How did he know where she lived? How could he, with his height and huge body, walk in those narrow lanes and poor, horrific huts? At first, the maid Rehana Khan became afraid of him and did not want to shake his hand when he extended his rough black hand to her. She kept herself at a safe distance from him and continued to stare at him as if he was a dangerous alien from another planet who was about to attack and rape her in front of everyone. Many poor Indians had already gathered around him and looked at him as if he were a frightening wild animal emerging from the jungle. Some of these poor shanty dwellers had never seen a black person before. Rehana doesn't expect him to speak her language either. However, her curiosity tripled when she started hearing him speaking to her in broken Hindi. With great difficulty, she understood some of what he was saying. She had understood the words visas, tickets, the old man, and Saudi Arabia. She even heard him mentioning the word Indian passport. Despite this, Rehana does not trust him, thinking that he's trying to take her somewhere alone and rape her. The black color of his skin and his strange African features made her distrust him even more. Many Indians believe that the African man is a sex maniac or a wild animal who has no control over his sexual drive and will attack and rape any female who comes near him. Some of them believe that every second a black man feels sexual desire or gets wild sexual excitement and can have sex with 20 women at the same time. Therefore, he is a person with a lot of lust and animalistic sexual desire and is always looking for some sexual satisfaction. He is a pedophile who loves to have sex with underage males and females, bestiality with animals, and even necrophilia with dead women after exhuming their bodies from their graves. The African boy, Babikir, repeated each sentence he spoke 10 times before Rehana could understand what he was saying. What she understood was that he wanted it to give her the same travel papers she used to have and help her fly to Saudi Arabia and work as a maid servant with the kind old man who met her in Kulaba and decided to help her to come to his country. Although she is still extremely afraid of him, she realizes he is the only person who has thought of her and has come to look for her and offer her the same life opportunity of traveling to a petrodollar country where she is going to be a rich woman. Then she and her family would live a better life. Neither her lover Jamal Khan nor the owner of the travel agency, Muhammad Khan, has come to look for her and offer her another chance of anything. Still, she is afraid to be alone with this black man whom she barely knew. But after much hesitation, Rehana agreed to take the risk and meet the Sudanese boy on the following day at the bus stop that was not far from her slum hut. Babikir told her to meet him at 10 o'clock in the following morning and not to bring anyone with her. Rihanna refused his suggestion and told him she could not come alone and insisted she had to bring her little daughter with her. She believes if this black man jumps on her and tries to rape her in broad daylight, then her little daughter, Ifat, might either scream and call people to come and beat him up or rescue her mom. She might also run away and find a policeman and report the assault and rape of her defenseless mother. The so-called dangerous sexual pervert black man unwillingly accepted her condition and then said his goodbye and left. More than 30 emaciated kids and 20 hungry dogs followed behind him. That particular night, all the poor people in the tight-knit slum hut community have collectively manufactured up their usual run of back alley gossip. The black Negro boy has come to ask the beautiful widow Rihanna Khan for sex. With the help of the same wicked Muslim and most holy policeman of Allah, everyone's opinion of Rihanna evolved around her having sex on the street like a bitch with many dogs. Now this sex deviant black African man showing up at our slum hut has confirmed their nasty rumors and opinions once again. It is worth repeating that many Indians think Africans are extremely dangerous men and are notorious sex fiends and dangerous sex predators. Therefore, any Indian girl who has been seen walking anywhere in a public place with a black man in India is considered a prostitute. Well, let us not dwell for now in trying to analyze and refute these erroneous and racially biased preconceptions, but let us continue with the plans of Rihanna and Babikir to meet on the next day. When Rihanna met Babikir the following morning, he took her to a restaurant and talked with her for a long time, being repetitive in his long rehearsed Hindi. With quite some difficulty, he tried to communicate to her that the same old Saudi man who had provided her before with tickets and visas to Saudi Arabia is still interested in giving her work as a maid servant in his rich country. Babikir told her that the old Saudi wanted to know whether she was still interested in coming to his country and being his Muslim maid servant. Before answering, Rihanna asked Babikir to tell her where the old man was. He told her about the old Saudi after his release had gone back to his country, but then a week ago he found him in his hostel at the international student hostels and requested he finds her and tell her his offer still stands and the job is still hers if she wants it. The African boy also told the lovely maid servant it took him a full week to find her slum hut. Rihanna then gladly accepted the offer on the same condition that she had made previously, that she would need her 7-year-old daughter Ifat to come with her also to Saudi Arabia. The African boy promised the lost and found lovely Indian Layla he would advise her Arab sponsor, the sugar daddy, the mad man case, about her desire to bring her small daughter with her. That day, the Sudanese boy did not allow the lovely poor woman and her small cute daughter to go until they agreed to have a tasty meal with him at the restaurant. Then he asked Rihanna to meet him again in a week at the same restaurant and at the same time. He said he was going to contact her benefactor through the phone and inform him about her consent and demand, and at the end of the 1 week, he would let her know his reply. Before we go any further, two important things need to be mentioned right away. Firstly, Babikir was kicked out of the travel agency by Muhammad Khan's wife, who took over the business while her husband was in jail. It was her wicked husband. While he was suffering behind bars, he asked his wife, when she came to visit him in his dungeon, to kick out the so-called fucking black Negro. What is more, the number of employees has been reduced to 5. Muhammad's Muslim wife also fired 2 girls without giving them any reason for their being fired. The other employees could see why his wife had fired the beautiful girl Bulbula Sheikh and the sexy girl Tabassum Surajaddin. They are exceptionally 2 beautiful girls and stiff competition for her husband's sexual pleasures. Although the not good-looking Mrs. Khan pretends to run the office and be the female boss, the main person running the business is the envious girl Roxana Rahman. Of course, the wife did not kick out her ugly younger sister, the mean girl Jamila. Secondly, after his release from jail, Jamal Khan wanted to return to his work at Muhammad Tours and Travels, but under the order of his detained boss, Mr. Muhammad Khan, the ugly wife refused to hire him again. The evil boss said to his wife, Jamal had committed a conflict of interest by falling in love with the maid servant. He was fired and told he was not entitled to receive any severance, pay, or benefits. Next, we need to mention quickly that after the trial was over, Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed returned to his country and swore by his Allah, by blessing his hand in his Holy Quran, that his feet would never again touch the dirty soil of the land of the infidels and accursed Hindu idol worshippers. He began to hate Hindus with a passion because the police inspector who tortured him during his interrogation was a Hindu. He came to know about his religious affiliation by his last name, Shankaracharya. He understood that Shankar is one of the Hindu gods. Although he now hates Hindus, Hindustan, and all Indians, the Arab case, the sugar daddy had never forgotten about his beautiful Indian Layla, and he is determined to get her by all means, even if it costs him his life. He has no one to trust in India anymore except his old friend Babikir al-Awar. After he came out of the hospital, he phoned his Sudanese friend and apologized to him for the misunderstanding that terminated their long friendship. The old geezer knew it was Babikir who had left him in his difficult time by refusing to help him escape from India through Pakistani border. Because he needs him, the old man ignored that small mistake of his friend and decided to use him to find his lovely Layla and send her over to him in his kingdom of Tartarus. By the way, as soon as he got released from the Indian dungeon, the Arab sheikh returned to his homeland and went directly from the international airport to the King Fahd Royal Hospital. He was exhausted from the long trial and the difficult time he spent in the filthiest prison in the whole world. He had been treated off and on by the brutal beatings he received in jail and the hundreds of ailments and infections he contracted while there. It is also worth mentioning that Babikir al-Awar suffered a lot after he got fired from his job. His financial struggles started all over again, and ever since he got fired, he has been having an exceedingly difficult time. Again, he began to depend upon his Sudanese friends to help him out, and they were not happy about his never-ending penniless condition. After his ever mercurial rich friend called him and apologized for all the misunderstandings, some hope shone in his life once more. Sheikh Ahmed promised to send him some money regularly if he managed to find his beautiful Indian Layla, who is called Rehana Khan, and get her travel papers reissued over again so she could come to his mansion and work for him as his adored maidservant. The old Saudi man swore by Allah he would send him 15,000 rupees to start with as a token of goodwill. He said to Babikir, the much needed lovely Indian Layla was worth the money and expense, and he requested her services as quickly as possible. He would take care of everything and all the cost of preparing her papers and documents. This time, he said to Babikir that he did not want any filthy Indian Muslim to prepare her travel papers. He specifically mentioned them each by their names, namely Muhammad Khan and Jamal Khan. He told Babikir that neither of them should know of these new arrangements for his precious maidservant Rehana Khan to fly to the kingdom of the Saudis. After some days had passed, Babikir was able to locate the slum hut of Rehana Khan, and he called Sheikh Ahmed and presented him with the good news. To be exalted for his efforts and make Sheikh Ahmed feel overly indebted to him, Babikir recounted for him all the troubles he went through to locate his maidservant. He mentioned how he had to use gundas to help him in locating her slum hut. As a matter of fact, Babikir would never have found Rehana Khan if he did not get the assistance of an Indian because of his poor Hindi language skills and his African ethnicity. He sought the help of a lawman to locate the slum hut of Rehana. He bribed a Muslim police constable and asked him to direct him to the place of the young Muslim woman who was falsely accused of the recent terrorist plot. His given reason is that he is a foreign reporter from a Muslim country and wanted to have an interview with her for a cover story for a news article. He said further to receive sympathy from the Muslim constable that the mission of the article was to show to the outside world, especially the Muslim world, how the uncircumcised infidels in the nation of India wrongly accuse an innocent, peace-loving, law-abiding, poor Muslim woman. The Muslim constable, being moved by his love of Allah's chosen people, believed in Babikir's claim and promised to help him in finding Rehana Khan. After 1 week of searching, the constable found out where the former suspected female suicide bomber Rehana Khan is living, and he then took Babikir an hour to her slum hut. Babikir thanked him, gave him some money, and asked him to leave. The reason was that he did not want Rehana Khan and her family to see him coming to their hut with a policeman. Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmed praised Babikir over and over, and he almost started crying. He then told him he would be sending the work visa and ticket for Rehana Khan and the 15,000 rupees he promised to give him as a token of goodwill. Then the African boy mentioned the important demand of Rehana before she would travel to work as his maidservant. The old man immediately agreed and said, bringing her daughter with her will be an additional blessing to me from the exalted Allah and our gracious Prophet Muhammad. Babikir did not suspect any ulterior motives on the part of his Saudi friend, when in his dirty mind the old geezer blesses Allah and his Prophet Muhammad for the coming of Rehana's 7-year-old daughter Ifad, that he thought it might become like a paradise for him and hell for her. Chapter 24. Searching for the handsome lover. Through Western Union, Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmed sent 25,000 Indian rupees to his friend Babikir Al-Awar and asked him to give 10,000 to Rehana and keep the rest of the amount for himself due to his great efforts in finding her. He sent between 50 and 70,000 rupees every month to his former Indian wife, Christy, but his sad end with that beautiful Christian wife taught him a good lesson in life. Therefore, he decided not to spend a lot of money on the beautiful new Muslim Layla while she was in the land of infidels outside Islamic law. This secular law gives a wife the right to divorce her husband without any specific reason, and she is allowed to cheat on him openly without fear of being caught, convicted, and stoned to death with her adulterous boyfriend. However, a week later, Babikir met Rehana again in the same restaurant where they had sat and talked before. He informed her that her Saudi sponsor had agreed to send her a new work visa and travel tickets for her and her daughter. He also told her that her sponsor had sent money so she could use it to obtain new passports. He explained to her that Sheikh Ahmed had informed him that Rehana's former passport had been stolen by the corrupt counter-terrorism police in Bombay at the time of her arrest and sold to another Indian woman. That ugly Indian woman came to Jeddah International Airport and claimed to be Rehana Khan, his maidservant. She was arrested by Jeddah police and confessed how she obtained Rehana's passport, work visa, and ticket. The Saudi police considered the passport an invalid document due to forgery and sent it to the Indian consulate in Jeddah city. For this reason, the real maid Rehana Khan needs to reissue her passport with the correct ID. Regarding her daughter's passport, the African boy advised Rehana not to go to the police to try to get her child's passport back because the police would either arrest her again or try to blackmail her, rape her, and take her money as well. After that, Babikir took out the 10,000 rupees from his pocket and gave it to her. Rehana had never seen such a large amount of money before. The largest amount of money she had ever received in her entire life was about 400 rupees. As a result, she is simply amazed and delighted at the same time. She sang the Sudanese boy more than she sang her Saudi sponsor, Sugar Daddy, as if Babikir was the one who personally provided her with this huge sum. She told him that she needed someone to go with her to the passport office in Worli. Before Babikir could respond, she said that tomorrow she would go to the travel agency and ask the good boy Jamal Khan to take her to the passport office because he was the one who had helped her before. Don't make that mistake again, Babikir shouted it until Rehana jumped back. She thought the black guy had suddenly become a dangerous monster and wanted it to attack and rape her. But before she could stand up and run away from him, Babikir spoke again. Your sponsor has asked me to tell you never to go to Muhammad Khan Tours and Travels Agency again. Moreover, Jamal Khan no longer works with them. Mr. Muhammad Khan's wife kicked him out. As for me, I don't work there anymore. I was also fired for no specific reason. The beautiful, beloved Rehana Khan felt great sadness in her heart when she learned that her handsome lover Jamal Khan no longer worked at the travel agency. The African boy Babikir also stated to her that her sponsor had asked him alone to help her prepare all the necessary travel papers for her flight abroad, and that this entire responsibility was now in his hands. So he asked her to meet him the next day at the same restaurant so he could take her to the passport office at Wadley. Rehana is not happy with the new arrangements because she has no choice in the matter, so she agrees to meet her new assistant. The good Sudanese boy once again insisted that the beautiful Indian woman and her cute daughter should share the delicious food with him before they left. He also ordered some ready-made sandwiches and asked her to take them to her 5 children and her old mother. Babikir learned about Rehana's other children from his surprise night-time visit to her small shack in Dharavi slum. Before returning to her poor hut, the caring mother Rehana went to a small market and bought clothes, cookies, and candies for her 5 children. She also bought some dresses for her mother and daughter. This is the first time in her life that she has been able to buy new clothes for her family. Before that day, she would bring her children hand-me-down or handmade clothes from whatever their employers no longer wanted it. Oftentimes, clothes were either too big or too small for her children. But poor people cannot be picky. However, on this day, thanks to her Arab sponsor, Sugar Daddy, the old geezer, she chose the exact size for each of her children. She bought 4 beautiful dresses and 2 Barbie dolls for her beloved daughter Iffat as well. Because of the huge heavenly manna she received through Babikir, she went and called her employers and asked for indefinite leave. Some employers threatened to fire her if she did not show up for work. She didn't care and hung up the phone on them. She returned to her poor hut and fed her children with sandwiches that Babikir had bought for them from his pocket. Then she showed them the beautiful new clothes she had bought for them with her own money. Finally, she opened the boxes of candies and biscuits, and her children jumped for joy and said, Mama, Mommy, you are the best mother in the whole world. While her children were still eating their sweets, Rehana lied to her mother and daughter and told them that she would go to work in the homes of wealthy people. She did not tell her mother about the large amount of money she received from her wealthy Arab sponsor. She just took off and promised to return late in the evening. The beautiful Rehana Khan is eager to reconnect with her handsome lover Jamal Khan and enjoy the same wonderful times they had together in downtown Bombay at the marine drives by the beach of Chobati and Juhu. She didn't believe the black boy Babikir when he told her that the employee Jamal Khan had been fired from his workplace and decided to find out for herself. She misses those loving, fun moments of hugs and warm, tender kisses. Despite everything she endured over the past 7 months, what she suffered even more was the loss of her handsome boyfriend Jamal Khan. She realized that he had suffered greatly because of her and wanted to apologize for his suffering because of a crime he had not committed either. This time, her financial circumstances are different, and she will show him her deep love by letting her money do the talking. When Rehana Khan arrived in Kolaba, it was 3:15 p.m. She doesn't have a watch. She asked someone for the time. She remembered Jamal Khan telling her that he finishes work every day at 5 in the evening. By her calculation, she had about an hour and a half to wait for him to appear. After that, she will be able to see her handsome lover leaving his office and heading home. She wants to surprise him. The beautiful Rehana saw that the one-eyed black Negro had deliberately lied to her. She also suspected that her all-Arab sponsor knew about the love affair she had with Jamal and decided to separate them. Somehow, it never occurred to her to ask herself why the black boy didn't want her to meet Jamal Khan or why the old Saudi wanted to keep them apart. Rehana waited impatiently across the street under the shade of a large tree. She doesn't want anyone from the travel agency where her boyfriend works to see her. She plans to follow her lover from behind without him knowing until there is enough distance between them, and then she will approach him, put her hands on his face, close his eyes, and give him the biggest pleasant surprise of his life. The minutes seemed like hours, and her heart became so anxious for him that she began to walk up and down the street, stopping now and then to glance at the office door. Whenever she looked, she saw the doorman sitting on a wooden chair like an angel of death, holding a double-edged sword in his hand, guarding heaven's gate with a blank stare, stupidly watching the people and cars passing by. His little head swayed back and forth in a semicircle like a table fan. The beautiful girlfriend Rehana Khan tends to approach him and ask him to enter the office and ask her husband, lover Jamal Khan, to come out, but she has a nagging feeling that this might jeopardize his job with his evil pose. Finally, Rehana saw the travel agency employees starting to leave one by one. She got to know most of them except for two new pretty girls. These two new girls were recruited by the lustful boss Muhammad Khan himself after his release from the bottomless pit of prison. He was very angry with jealous and ugly Muslim wife when he discovered that in his absence she had fired his favorite employee, the beautiful and sexy girl Bulbul Sheikh. The beautiful Rehana couldn't see the handsome Jamal Khan among the staff, and the only man who appeared at the entrance was someone else. She remembered that she had seen that young man before, but she did not know his name. His name is Javed, and he is the only remaining male employee. Rehana's heart began to beat in fear when she saw the 6 Indian girls and the Indian employee all walking out of the office and quickly blending into the crowded rush hour crowd. She waited for her beloved Jamal to come out, but he didn't. A few minutes later, she saw Satan in the form of Muhammad Khan, the owner of the travel agency, sticking out his bald head as if he has two horns. He stood and spoke to the doorman before walking away and disappearing as well. By this time, the beautiful Rehana had become so frustrated and her heart had started beating so hard inside her that she thought it would definitely jump out of her chest. At this moment, she felt like she had lost her lover forever. This is the only paradise where she found him and knows that she must look for him, and this is his only place of work. When they met more than 7 months ago, he asked her to send him letters from Saudi Arabia and his work address. Her lover never took her to his place of residence. Rehana's tears felt like the gates of heaven when she realized that she had lost her handsome lover forever. She had no As her tears ran like a river down her cheeks, an idea flashed into her mind. She crossed the street and went straight to the doorman. He has just finished closing all the doors and is about to leave. Rehana approached him and asked him about the young employee who was working there called Jamal Khan. The doorman recognized her immediately because he had seen her before many months ago, and through the many court sessions he had been accustomed to seeing her in handcuffs in the Bombay Criminal Court with the other suspect. He had heard from other female employees that the Indian employee Jamal Khan was expelled from the agency because he was having a love affair with her, and this was considered by the boss Muhammad Khan to be a conflict of interest at work and an unforgivable crime. He doesn't work here anymore, the janitor replied sarcastically. Rehana asked him to tell her the name and address of his new workplace. The janitor looked at her and said angrily, "How do I know his new place of work?" Rehana, when did Jamal stop coming to work? Doorman, he stopped coming when he got fair. Rehana, why was he fair? Doorman, I heard the girls in the office saying that he was fair because he went to prison. The janitor intentionally lied to her about why Jamal Khan was fair from his job. Rehana became very angry and said to him, even the employer, Mr. Muhammad Khan, went to prison on the same false charge. The doorman looked at her for a while before turning his back and walking away. Standing there alone, Rehana felt as if she had been thrown into a deserted island to live the rest of her life alone. She knew that no one else would fill the aching void in her heart the way her handsome lover Jamal Khan did. She missed his love so much during her imprisonment. When she was acquitted of all false charges and released from prison, it was the needs of her children that distracted her from her immediate romantic desires. Inside, she was always waiting for the day when she could reunite with him and resume their wonderful love that had been interrupted for so long by their imprisonment. She now had enough money to take care of her of some of her family's needs, so she didn't have to worry too much about it. Now love came set aside, came back knocking on the door of her heart, and she could not ignore the desire to open the door and welcome it with all her being. But her handsome lover is not there, and she has no way to find his whereabouts, where he lives or where he works. How could she find one person among 19 million others in a huge cosmopolitan city like Bombay? Rehana's feet became as lifeless as the concrete asphalt street on which she was standing, and she now walked aimlessly, her tears obscuring her vision. She stumbled and collided with a few people, who became angry and shouted at her and asked her to watch where she was going. She almost fell off the sidewalk when a kind Indian woman caught her just in time by the shoulders and prevented her from falling off the sidewalk. The kind woman asked her if she was okay and told her to try to be careful where she walked. She then warned her that if she fell into such a crowded place, she would be trampled under thousands of feet and die a horrific death in the stampede. No one would know she is dead because those who would trample her with thousands of feet leave their workplaces in a hurry and rush to catch local trains to return home. Fortunately, Rehana listened to the good advice of the kind lady and started it, walking with great care. It took her 3 hours to return to the Dharavi slum where she lives. Her heart is heavy with sadness because she lost the love of her life. A few weeks after her papers will be reissued, she will travel by plane to the rich Arab country, and with her work visa, she will be away for 2 long years. She will not be able to send letters to her lover because she does not know his new address, place of work, or a place of residence. That night, the beloved Rehana could not sleep and stayed awake all night, mourning the loss of her beloved Jamal, while her tears fell like heavy raindrops on her empty pillow. Chapter 25. Continuing the meticulous search for the missing lover. The next day, early in the morning, Rehana forced her exhausted body to get out of bed and get dressed. She went to the restaurant where the black Negro boy asked her to meet him. When Babikir saw her coming towards him, he thought she had lost one of her children and had been crying all night. It seems like something drastic happened overnight. She was no longer smiling as she had been the day before. She was no longer the same simple, innocent, beautiful woman he had known. She looked very sad or sick, as if she was going to die at any moment. Babikir welcomed her and tried to find out what happened, but she remained calm. She is not in the mood to talk about anything. The young African man decided not to put any more pressure on her for fear that she would burst into tears at any moment. He just asked her to come with him to the passport office at Warley. She stood up and followed him silently as if he was leading her to a funeral procession to bury her handsome, deceased lover, Jamal Khan. At the passport office, Babikir claimed that Rehana was one of his clients and that he wanted to reissue her passport. He knows about the procedures from his previous work in the travel agency of Muhammad Khan. Before they arrived at the passport office, he convinced Rehana to say that her passport and her daughter's passport had been stolen while they were heading to the international airport. They probably lost them in the taxi that took them to the airport. Normally, when someone claims that his passport has been stolen, or lost, he must bring an official letter from the police authority stating that he has filed a complaint. However, this procedure was not required of Rehana Khan and her daughter Ifat Khan because the smart Sudanese foreign student had already entered 500 rupees in each application. In this particular case, the legal requirement was waived. The person accepting the application looked at Rehana familiarly, but could not place her face among the hundreds of applicants he saw every day. They were told that it would take 3 months for their application to be processed and their passport reissued. Those 3 months were reduced to 3 weeks when Babikir took out a few thousand rupees from his pocket and placed them under the two applications. After that, he tried to reduce the period to a week, but the passport officer said that this was not possible. The African boy carelessly spends on applications to issue the two lost passports because the old Saudi man tells him no matter how much he spends on the travel papers for his valuable Indian maid and her cute daughter, he will make up for it. Babikir and Rehana were about to leave the office, but the passport officer stopped them and asked the mother, Rehana, did you change your address or is it the same as it was before? Rehana looked at the Sudanese boy and said, I don't have an address. The officer raised his eyebrows with a serious look and asked, how did you get a passport without an address? Rehana replied, I live in a poor hut at Dravi slum. We have no addresses in those poor huts. The officer replied, then how did you get a passport before? A passport cannot be issued without an address. The Sudanese boy felt a snake in the bush, so he tried to stop any further inquiry about her address. He fears Rehana and her daughter's passport will not be issued if they cannot show how she obtained the passport in the first place. He understood that Sheikh Faiz Bani Ahmed might kill him if his Indian maid, the beautiful Layla, was prevented from coming to him for something as small as an address. So he said calmly, Sir, the last time their passport were most likely issued with the address of the travel agency listed. Can you check her previous applications? But what is the name of that travel agency? It is called Muhammad Khan Tours and Travels. The Sudanese boy accidentally shot himself in the foot when he mentioned the name of the damning travel agency, Muhammad Khan Tours and Travels, of his evil former boss. The passport officer immediately remembered that Rehana Khan had come before with an employee of that agency and obtained her and her daughter's passports. But he decided not to tell her that he remembered her and recognized her. He started looking up her previous papers to find out exactly what address she had given the last time. It took the passport officer 20 minutes to find the old papers for the mother and her daughter Ifat. Then he came and shouted at Rehana, why did you say you don't have an address? This is the address you wrote last time. It is an address in a slum house in Andheri Lokanwala Chols. When the passport officer mentioned this address to her dear lover Jamal Khan, the beautiful beloved Rehana Khan lit up like a Christmas tree in the month of December. Suddenly, a switch lit a fire in her dying heart. The light of love illuminated her eyes, and she became as beautiful and sexy as before. Her wounded heart was now filled with intense joy at the prospect of finding her lost handsome lover. God opened doors for her where they were closed. "Oh my God," she exclaimed with joy. "I forgot that I had previously given the address of my cousin Jamal, who lives in the hut of Anderi Lokanwala Chol." The officer said seriously, "So this is your address?" "Rehana, yes, sir. This is my permanent address." Before the passport officer asked her about anything else and spoiled the happiness that had bubbled up like a fountain of erotic love inside her heart, Rehana asked him to write the address of her handsome cousin Jamal Khan on a piece of paper so that she could tell him when her and her daughter's passports would arrive, so that he can expect the passport to arrive at his home, Chol, from the passport office. The passport officer wrote down her lover's address and gave it to her. If it weren't for the people standing around her, Rehana Khan would have kissed the paper and hugged it tightly to her chest before hiding it inside her bra between her breasts, which looked like two large pomegranates. She does not have a handbag or a purse and keeps her valuables inside her bra. She could not hide her happiness and joy and shone at the Sudanese boy with a wide smile and winked at him with her beautiful black eyes. She also bit her white teeth on her sexy lower lip and slowly released it. The young black Negro boy, Babikir al-Awar, was surprised and greatly astonished by her sudden change in mood and her flirtatious movement. He suddenly saw that the very beautiful Indian maid, Rehana Khan, had fallen in love with him and realized how much she needed him to hold her in his arms and kiss her lips. Finally, she appreciates him as a man of words and expresses her strong emotional alertness towards him with her beautiful eyes and sexy lips. The so-called African Negro felt as if he were the hero, the black slave hunter Ibn Shaddad, and Rehana was the beautiful white Arab girl whose lover wrote about her, one of the 7 renowned poems known as Mu'allaqat Ba'antara, and who is called Abla. He even felt a powerful erection and his cock was flying like a Ramadan cannon when he pictured himself having sex in bed with her sexy body and enjoying her tight pussy, her big breast, and her large naked buttocks. He also expressed the possibility of meeting her on the shore of the Arabian Sea on Marine Drive, on the Queen Necklace, and kissing her on the lips. One-eyed Babikir recalled seeing her several times while her handsome Indian lover Jamal Khan was hugging and kissing her in the lips and touching her all over her body. The brown-eyed African lover Babikir al-Awar may not hesitate for a moment to get rid of his ugly girlfriend Jamila if his new, beautiful and sexy beloved lover Rehana agrees to start a love relationship with him. She looks a million times more beautiful than the ugly Indian girl Jamila, whom he loves, but she does not love him. This beautiful and gorgeous Indian girl, like Rehana in his country, will be defied by people as the Greek goddess Aphrodite and worshipped as the goddess of love and beauty, Helen. the beloved of Paris. The imaginary two new lovers then walked out of the passport office where they were supposed to say goodbye to each other. But Paris, they had to discuss the day they would meet again 3 weeks later, and after that, the passports arrived in the mail at her cousin Jamal's address. But got the beautiful Rehana just left and almost flew in the air without thanking the African boy Babikir al-Awar or saying goodbye to him. The black Sudanese boy was upset by her rude behavior towards him and her lack of manners. He immediately jumped to the conclusion that she was biased against him because of his black skin color, and he felt very angry after everything he did to help her, even by bribing the passport officer with his share of the money he got from her Arab sponsor, Sheikh Faiz bin Ahmed. His dignity was shattered to pieces, and his hope of meeting her again and kissing her on the lips on the seashore was dashed. He hopes to fuck her sexy body on the bed, so his wounded pride drove him to yell at her before she could get any further. Why are you running away like that without saying thank you or a goodbye? Do you think that I'm your servant who must do your work, whether I like it or not? I'm so sorry, my dear brother. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but I am in a hurry to get back to the kids. I'm very sorry that I left without thanking you or saying goodbye. Please forgive me, brother. I am so grateful to you for everything you did to help me. You are an exceptionally good boy. Well, that sweet apology of you made me feel good. Anyway, we have to meet again to make your overseas flight booking to Saudi Arabia. I can book your flight with your daughter before you get your passports. If you want me to do that, I need to see you in 2 weeks, in 2 days. Will you be able to meet me in 2 days at the same restaurant at the same time? Yes, of course. I can do that. I will meet you in 2 days at the same Indian restaurant where you serve with me delicious meals with my beloved daughter Ifat, and also bought sandwiches for my dear 5 sons. Rehana mentioned the food he bought for her and her children because she wanted it to make him happy and make him forgive her for hurting his feelings. Then she waited for Babikir to speak further, but when she saw him turn his face in the opposite direction and began to walk away, she felt free to set out to carry out the plan of finding the love she misses so much. She will not befriend her handsome lover Jamal Khan, even if he wants to kiss her in an open place in front of his doorstep. She believed that she is the private property of her handsome Jamal, and that he has the right to do whatever he wants with her body. With a joyful heart and great expectation, Rehana flew to Andheri area and ended up in Lokhandwala Chowk, where the street and address of her lover were listed on a small white sheet of paper kept safely inside her bra between her breasts. The complex of Lokhandwala is the most beautiful and expensive shopping center in Bombay. Only Bollywood film stars and wealthy Indians can shop there. However, there are millions of slum huts everywhere surrounding the metropolis, except downtown Bombay and a few other local areas like Kolaba, Chairgate, Nariman Point, Cave Bread, and Malabar Hills, etc. The beautiful complex of Lokanwala was surrounded by millions of dirty and poor huts like rainbow surround like rainbow around the sun. Jamal Khan's address indicated that his small hut was buried somewhere behind the beautiful buildings of Lokanwala complex. Rehana asked several destitute people to show her direction to the place written on a piece of paper as she made her way through the crowded huts. Finally, her legs took her to her lover's Chol hut. It took her an hour and a half to travel by bus, local train, and auto rickshaw until she reached her real man's hut. Before she received the 10,000 rupees from her rich old Arab sponsored sugar daddy, the Indian maid Rehana Khan rarely sat in an auto rickshaw. An auto rickshaw is something between a taxi and transporting domestic animals such as donkeys and horses. There are two types of rickshaws in India: motor rickshaws and wheel rickshaws. The first rickshaw was a motorbike converted into a mini taxi. The second rickshaw is a tricycle that is designed and used for transportation. In China, there is something worse than that. Call it human rickshaw. It is a human being transformed into an animal and used by the rich to carry them from one place to another, a form of abuse and slavery of humans. The delightful, beloved Rehana felt extremely happy and had an orgasm despite her fatigue from the long journey. Her long, smooth legs finally reached her lover's doorstep, Jamal Khan. Jamal had already informed her that he had 3 sisters and 6 brothers, in addition to his sick mother. All his 9 siblings are younger than him. Rehan expected that one of his 3 sisters or a 6th brother would open the door for her and greet her with the Islamic greeting, peace be upon you, or assalamu alaikum, and then she will ask her or him to call and summon her lover Jamal Khan. She knocked on the door of the little hut with her hand and waited it. While she waited it, she was surrounded by 6 stray dogs and 15 miserable children. The children were extremely dirty and smelled of urine and feces, smelling worse than the smell of the hungry, skinny animals around them, and they appeared to her like riches in their dirty rags and emaciated bodies. They looked like they were playing in the mud and dirt and swimming in the gutter, and then were allowed out of the fields to wander the streets. It is a wonder that they are still alive or not dead sick. Rehana heard the door of the hut slowly open. A woman stood in the doorway. She doesn't look like thin or sick. She is fat and short, and behind her is a man standing a little taller than her short stature. The light woman is so obese that the man behind her looks like her baby. The fat woman extended her right hand and shook it 3 or 4 times, a gesture understood in India as, "What do you want?" The fat woman's mouth is full of Indian pan. Her big mouth is so full of those green and red leaves of the tobacco, and she can hardly speak. The visitor, Rehana, politely asked the woman, "I'm looking for Mr. Jamal Khan." The fat woman had to spit out the red pan from her mouth, which looked like a vomit or a dirty diaper. Some of it fell on Rehana's shoe, turning her shoe red from the spit. One of the famous Egyptian journalists visited India, and when he saw Indians chewing and spitting the ban everywhere without caring where it landed, he described them as the people who prostrate from their mouths. Who is Jamal Khan? The woman screamed after she was able to open her mouth and speak. My friend Jamal Khan gave me this address and asked me to come and meet his sisters and mother. There is no one named Jamal Khan living here in this hut. The fat woman continued in a louder voice like the voice of an angry female ogre. We are Hindus and no Muslims live with us. The tall man behind her came out and said to Rehana, do you mean the Muslim family that used to live here? Before the beautiful visitor Rehana could answer his question, he continued the conversation with a voice like a dog howling on a dark night. The Mohammedan Khan family sold their hut to us last year and moved it to some slum area in Mumbai. We don't know about their new address or location. Habiba Rehana listened to those words that came out of his mouth as if they were poisonous arrows that flew and pierced her heart. Each word, one after another, shot out like an arrow, hitting and penetrating her depths, reaching even the bottom of her liver and kidneys. Tears flowed from her beautiful eyes, and she wanted to cry and scream at him in a protest and objection, but somehow she hid her pain and was able to control herself and did not want to reveal her state of broken heart in public to all the miserable men, women, and children gathered around her like a mob. Most of them thought she was a movie star who came out of the silver screen and miraculously appeared in the middle of their poor huts. A supposedly beautiful film actress, Rehana Khan, lowered her face to hide her tears because she lost her Habibi again, then turned her head and body and began to walk away, while stray dogs and emaciated children followed her as if they were her own tribe of admirers.